presents the Big Three Playoffs. This Sunday, the remaining 4 teams battle to make the championship in the most physical, fierce, and competitive basketball league in the world. The action starts with the Big Three Monster Energy Celebrity Game. Then Dwight Howard and his LA Riot take on Montrezl Harrell and Dr. J Chicago Triplets. The finale will see popular Miami 305 with stars MVP Michael Beasley and Lance Stevenson take on Nancy Lieberman's Dallas Power. Who will make it to the Big Three Championship? The no-holds-barred action starts Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific, only on CBS.
KFI, Mo Kelly, live everywhere on YouTube and the iHeartRadio app. It's Later with Mo Kelly. Let's get to it. Just got some news. Thanks to Tawala Sharp, producer of the show. Guest on the program tomorrow. We'll talk a little Lilo and Stitch. We'll probably talk a little Wayne's World. We'll talk a little True Lies with actress Tia Carrere. Just booked. That's coming up tomorrow. We'll let you know more as we know more. But we have a huge show tonight. Got to let you know. LAUSD, they're back to school officially today. And LAUSD Superintendent Carvalho made it very clear that they have a plan to deal with the immigration raids. We'll hear from what he had to say in just a little bit. Governor Newsom, he was out there doing the pre-presidential candidacy thing. Has announced his redistricting plan and how that's supposed to play out in terms of an upcoming election. And we can compare and contrast that to what's going on in Texas. And that actually is going to be the basis of my final thought tonight. And it's real simple, but I'll expound upon it later. Either partisan redistricting is not okay or it's okay. If it's okay for Texas, that means it must be okay for California or any other state, because redistricting is not against the law. Gerrymandering can be against the law depending on how it's done. But you're either for or you're against it, but you can't have it both ways when it's only the party you like or don't like. And remember, what is done now is precedent for what's going to be done tomorrow. And we can redistrict this year, but what happens 2 years from now or in some other state or when there's a different president? All that has to be taken into consideration, and we'll get into that. That's all coming up tonight. It's a huge show we have for you. And if you were listening earlier to Tim Conway Jr., congratulations to Tim and his crew for pulling off those wonderful interviews with both of Stefan's parents and the stepfather, and also bringing in the heroes who helped save Stefan. Had them all basically in one room with Stefan on the phone, and he is on the mend, and we are pulling for him and his family as they continue to deal with all this. Oh, Mark, I meant to ask you, since I talked about my review of Alien Earth last night, did you get a chance to see the second episode as of yet?
I went right home and watched it last night and liked it even better than the first one. I think they're onto something.
So I was right. You were saying I was right.
Well, if you're going to force me to say it.
I'm not going to force you. I just want to encourage you.
Let me just say you weren't completely wrong this time. Can you live with that?
I guess I'm going to have.
Okay.
I have no choice.
All right. Good.
No, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope other people enjoy it as well. And if you're a fan of the original Alien, I think you'll be just fine watching this series, because I think it is true to the original in many respects.
I was going to do more of an in-depth review tomorrow, but since we've talked it to death, I think...
No, you can't.
I'm just going to sit here and breathe into the mic for 7 minutes tomorrow.
No, I think you can. I mean, you can definitely play the trailer and also give some deep dive information into the history of Alien and Ridley Scott, the bastardization with the Predator insertions, all those kind of things.
Yeah, I read Walter Hill's script for the original Alien recently, and there's just not an ounce of fat on that thing. And I think this new show is true to it. And not only that, I'm really excited for whenever Timothy Olyphant as the white-haired robot kicks into action.
You know he has a role to play in this series.
Something's going to go down with that.
A physical role.
Uh-huh.
Cannot wait. And I don't want to give it away, but yes, Timothy Olyphant is in the series, and he's Timothy. That's the only way I can describe it. He has this look of him where You're not quite sure he's a good guy. In fact, you're pretty sure he's a bad guy.
I feel like he's going to do some damage somehow.
Oh, he's going to do some damage, but we don't know to what or to whom. That's all I'll say.
Lots to look forward to. I'm even cool with the, usually children ruin everything in an action movie, thriller, horror film. But they've got, and I don't want to say why to spoil anything, but they've got a lot of young people featured in the cast. Totally okay with it. And it's well done.
They're featured, but they're not the point of it all. They have a role to play, but not necessarily the role to play. And they're not infantilized. It's not like, they're innocent children who can't defend themselves. It's not like that. There's a deeper story to the children than just being children.
Yeah, I will say, if there's one frustration I have when it comes to filmmaking and writing and things like that, don't stick your face right up to the thing that you know is going to be problematic. Don't stick your face right over the big leathery egg that's going to open up. Don't stick it next to the thing hanging from the ceiling. Keep your face away from stuff.
Remember, it is a horror TV show to a certain extent, and people do dumb things in horror movies and horror television shows.
I'm just saying, as a writer, it frustrates me when you're sitting there shouting, "You idiot, don't do that." But I suppose you have to accept that people are every bit as stupid in real life, so you just got to go with it.
They are. We have people doing selfies on cliffs and falling off, and so yeah, that kind of makes sense.
So somebody would probably, if we had the alien face huggers here on Earth, probably try to take a selfie with it right up to their face and post it on Instagram.
Do you have enough time to switch over and do news, or do you need me to vamp for another 2-3 minutes?
I'm a pro, Mo. I'm good to go.
I'll speak real slowly. It's later with Mo Kelly. KFI, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI, Mo Kelly. First day of school, LAUSD. And we have a number of different vantage points for the first day of school. I know when I was getting on the freeway today, I was wondering, like, oh gosh, is all hell going to break loose because there are more cars on the freeway? People picking up their kids from school is going to be more difficult to get to the freeway. These are all the things that were going through my mind. And I look at the Mo Migos who are chatting on YouTube. Daryl Sexton says, oh, just the first day of school wreaking havoc on my commute into and out of downtown LA today. It was not pretty going through downtown. It was very much reminiscent of typical, school year traffic. Twala, you are within the matrix of LAUSD. So you know a little something about this. Has your life been turned upside down because it's now the first day of school officially for LAUSD?
Absolutely. Not only, look, my daughter went back to school last week. Went back to school this week. All the valley is coming back. So it's like all of a sudden, all that free rolling and just riding to and fro without a care. All that went to pot today. I was ready to go ham on the freeway.
Earlier this week, we talked about what LAUSD was going to do in preparation for the immigration raids, which don't necessarily directly connect to the schools, but there's a consideration and concern for parents picking up children, the disruptions which may happen outside of schools, and how LAUSD was going to handle it. And Superintendent Carvalho was giving interviews early today, and he had a lot to say on the subject. Here's just a little bit of what he had to say to KTLA.
Really quickly, can you touch on the changes that you're kind of pushing this year amid those immigration raids?
Look, number one, we have perimeter safety around schools. We have reached out to over 11,000 families who lived in fear. We expanded transportation routes, provide convenient, protective routes for kids. We also have partnerships with community-based organizations as well as cities to protect our kids every single day.
We're also spreading joy. It's a big part of this school year. We don't want to take away from that because it makes a difference for students, right?
We have mental health supports for kids. We have smiling teachers. We have enrichment activities with arts and music programs, robotics, chess. There's something for everyone. Schools are safe, joyful places for every kid, and I promise this is going to be our best year yet. Today, we are reawakening this giant that is called LAUSD from its summer nap with 540,000 happy kids.
There are two sides to this. There's the one side of, okay, LAUSD is going to do what it thinks it needs to do to protect the children and the integrity of the learning environment. If kids are afraid to come to school, or parents are afraid to come to school, or if there's a disruption outside, that's going to impact the learning environment. I think everyone would agree with that. There's also what ICE may plan to do. You may have seen that the governor was giving a speech on redistricting today. We'll talk about that in the next segment. But ICE made a show and display right outside of that. So there's a lot of posturing going on right now. There's I would call it intimidation to a certain degree, because you're trying to demonstrate a show of force. I don't know how that's going to play out, but I expect it is going to play out at some point near one or some or many of these LAUSD campuses.
Absolutely. And I think that there is just cause for it. I don't think that these parents who are afraid to come and pick up their children, or are afraid to send their children to school for fear that they will be followed home and used as bait to get parents outside.
That's a great point.
Seen all type of ways where children are being used. They're being put right in the crossfire to further ICE's goals. And again, I'm not slamming ICE. I know ICE has a job. They have been tasked with a job, and love them or hate them, they are doing their job. They have been directed by the president to go out and do this. We may not like it, but hey, we also voted for this. So you get what you get. Bottom line is, here in LA, I just wholeheartedly wonder, is this going to be enough?
When you say enough on the part of the preparations for ICE?
On the preparations, can LAUSD actually stand in the way of a federal unit doing their job?
Yeah, I don't know. See, we don't know, because all this is hypothetical until it becomes actual. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, if ICE shows up across the street from the parking lot of a school, and you have cars of parents lining up to pick up their kids, in theory, they're on public property. They're not on the school's private property. LAUSD has said they're going to make sure that ICE does not come on to the private property of the schools. But, if they're right across the street, they can still wreak the same type of havoc and create the same level of disruption.
Yeah, and they can go and snatch cars right out of that pickup line.
Yes, they can. Yes, they can. And I assume that that's probably going to happen at some point. I don't know how children are going to respond to that. I don't know how parents are going to respond to that. And I don't know how school employees are going to respond to that. Where does the boundary begin and end as far as what ICE is allowable to do by law, and what type of gray area is there where ICE may flaunt that? Because there's been a big question of whether ICE has been observing due process in the administration of these raids. And if due process is in doubt, I have to assume that it's going to continue to be in doubt with these raids in and around schools. I don't think that ICE is going to miss the opportunity, my word, for enacting these raids where they think undocumented people are going to be, whether their children are caught up as casualties or not. Because they have not shown any real concern, they being ICE, have not shown any real concern for optics in the sense of protecting people. They've been heavy-handed at times, and they've been relatively indifferent to the idea of separation of families in this particular context. They've shown up to schools before, so we have to assume they're going to show up again. Yeah. It's nice that the superintendent Carvalho has this idea of what they're going to do with the new bus routes and everything, and they'll probably have the buses pull right up on campus as opposed to stopping outside. Yeah. You can do things like that, but there's going to be some push-pull, and I assume that there's going to be and a type of response from ICE, which is going to take everything that LAUSD's intended tactics into account. Yeah. So it's just a matter of when, not if. and whether we are ready to stomach what we are going to see. Because we didn't like it when they were jumping out of Penske trucks and U-Haul trucks and running down gardeners and day laborers. I can assume there's going to be more of the same when it comes to school and their parents. It's later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640. When we come back, we have to talk about Governor Newsom and what he's alleging is a response to what's going on in Texas and redistricting. And I said in the first segment, it's real simple. Either you're okay with it or you're not. And if you're okay with it, then it's got to apply to every state, everywhere. Can't be just, well, I don't like it here, but it's okay in Texas. Doesn't work that way. We'll get into that next.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI Mo Kelly, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And let me just say this as a refresher. The 10th Amendment goes as follows. Quote, the power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. Put another way, states' rights. That's the 10th Amendment. We live in a constitutional republic, which is a form of democracy. It is a representative democracy. And in that, we elect our leaders, and those leaders make decisions on our behalf. Whether we are in the minority and our chosen candidate did not win, or whether we're in the majority and our chosen candidate did win. Our elected leaders get to make decisions on our behalf. That's why we have a mayor. That's why we have a federal congressional representative. That's why we have a governor. That's why we have a president. And governors are CEOs of their respective states. Here's where I'm going with this. Greg Abbott, the governor in Texas, has made it very clear that after a phone call with President Trump, in which the president asked for Governor Abbott to get him 5 congressional seats, and the only way that he could do that is through redistricting. And customarily, redistricting is done every 10 years after the census. The last time we did that, obviously, then was 2020. We had a census. We had our redistricting relative to those numbers, and then you move forward. Come 2025, President Trump wants to change the rules and ask for Governor Abbott to find him 5 seats, and that's how they're going to do it through redistricting. The Democrats in the state of Texas have left the state so that the state legislature could not vote on it. They were unable because they did not have a quorum. In other words, you have to have enough members present to even conduct a vote. So there was not enough Democrats or state representatives in the legislature to conduct a vote. So that redistricting effort has been put on hold. In California, Governor Newsom has said, in so many words, they're going to fight fire with fire. Because of what Texas is doing, we here in California are going to do it as well. The way our state constitutions are set up is different. In Texas, Governor Abbott has the autonomy and power to make it so without consulting the legislature. Here in California, our state constitution is we're supposed to have an independent redistricting body do it in accordance to the census every 10 years. But there is a caveat where the governor can call for a special election and then let the people decide whether the state legislature, and by extension the governor, will be granted the power to redistrict on their own. So there's an extra step that we have to do here in California. But at the end of it all, the governor knows that the Democrats have a supermajority in the state legislature, and he's in a blue state, and he should have enough votes to get it past the special election, and then the state legislature will redistrict as it sees fit. And I only hear one real argument in the discussion of this. You know, whether California should or should not do this. And I think you can't think of it that way, because it's not just California we're talking about. We're also talking about Texas. We're also talking about the state of New York. We're also talking about Illinois. In other words, Newsom has said if Texas does this, then California will do that. And New York said if Texas does this and California does this, then New York is going to do that. And there is a domino effect here, not just here and now leading up to the midterms. This is something in theory which could happen after every election unless there is a national referendum or some sort of amendment which is passed, or, we go back to the old system where you don't redistrict with the exception of every 10 years after the census. Here's what Governor Newsom had to say today.
We're here with our state of mind, with the clarity of our purpose and conviction to recognize that we need to reconcile the world we're living in. We do have agency. We're not bystanders in this world. We can shape the future, and that's what we intend to do today. We're here because Donald Trump, on January 6th, tried to light democracy on fire, tried to wreck this country, tried to steal an election, as Alex just said, by trying to dial in for 11, almost 12,000 votes. And here we are, in open and plain sight, before one vote is cast in the 2026 midterm election. And here he is once again trying to rig the system. He doesn't play by a different set of rules. He doesn't believe in the rules. And as a consequence, we need to disabuse ourselves of the way things have been done. It's not good enough to just hold hands, have a candlelight vigil, and talk about the way the world should be. We have got to recognize the cards that have been dealt. And we have got to meet fire with fire. And we've got to be held to a higher level of accountability. So that's what this is about. It's not complicated. We're doing this in reaction to a president of the United States that called a sitting governor of the state of Texas and said, find me 5 seats. We're doing it in reaction to that act. And so I'm grateful to all of the remarkable leaders that have stepped up, this unifying effort here in the state of California. And we'll be asking for the people on November 4th, a special election coinciding with a lot of local municipal elections, to provide a temporary pathway for congressional maps. We will affirm our commitment to the state independent redistricting after the 2030 census, but we're asking the voters for their consent to do midterm redistricting in 2026, 2028, and 2030 for the congressional maps, to respond to what's happening in Texas, to respond what Trump is trying to excite.
Remember when I started the segment talking about the 10th Amendment, states' rights? This is the plus minus of states' rights. Oftentimes people say states' rights and they forget some of the unintended consequences of states' rights. When there is a governor that you may not like, or when the party is in control that you do not support, states' rights don't less apply during those times. In the way that the Republicans have a supermajority in Texas and states' rights are being applied there, California and its Democratic supermajority are applying states' rights here. And I'm going to ask this question time and time again. Are you against redistricting, or are you only against redistricting when it's the party you don't like who is doing the redistricting? Because heretofore, we did it every 10 years. That was agreed upon. That was understood. And there were laws against gerrymandering when it had to do with, when it disenfranchised protected communities such as race and gender. This is not that. This is redistricting for purely partisan purposes. And I'm not going to say, well, he did it, so I get to do it. I'm just asking the question. Either it's right and allowable, or it's not, because what is being done in Texas is not illegal. And what Governor Newsom is attempting to do, like him or hate him, is not illegal. In fact, it's not even improper. He is following the state constitution by putting it up to a vote. This is not some legal gamesmanship. We may not even like it, but he is following the state constitution, as is Governor Greg Abbott in Texas following the state constitution. And you may not like what is happening in Texas, but it's within the parameters and boundaries of the law. And what's happening or possibly going to happen in California with the special election is within the boundaries of the law. So my question is very simple, very basic, but it's always based on consistency. Are you against redistricting, or are you only against it when you don't like the party which is trying to do it? It's Later with Mo Kelly. KFI live everywhere on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI, Mo Kelly. Later with Mo Kelly, live everywhere on social media and the iHeartRadio app. And I just got to quickly remind you, some had asked in the past few days in the Momigos chat and also messages I received on Instagram. It's like, when are we going to get back to Hop Keto in the hallway, where I go out in the hallway and demonstrate some stuff? And I haven't done it lately because Carnisha, who usually runs the chat, has not been here. So Daniel's been doing double duty with the videos. It's a lot going on. So I haven't had as many hallway discussions as normal, but we will be bringing it back in the future. And speaking of Hop Keto, while I'm thinking about it, I'll be teaching all morning into the afternoon at my dojang, which is Korean for studio or gym, songs Hop Keto from 9 a.m. to noon. So if you want to come by and say hello, or if you want to come by and see what I may do on the mat, or how Hop Keto is a wonderful martial art, a traditional martial art to learn, feel free to come by. We're at 4354 Sepulveda Boulevard in Culver City. It seems like there's a Waymo car on every corner in Culver City, and I still refuse to get in one of them. But I digress. I'll be teaching from 9 to noon. You can come out, say hello. You can sit in and just watch one of the classes. Or if you want, you could even come by and sign up, you and one of your children. We have a children's class I'll be doing at 9 o'clock, an intermediate class at 10 a.m., and then you have the adults and black belts at 11 a.m. So you just get a complete idea as far as how comprehensive and good a martial art Hop Keto is. And I love it. It's one of the best decisions I've ever made with my life. And I mean that sincerely. And hopefully, maybe I can get Mark Ronner to come by one of these days.
Yeah, I want to see you do the splits, Mo.
You know, I have never been able to do the full splits in my life. I was pretty close in my late 20s, early 30s when I first tested for my first Dan black belt. But as you get older, and I need not tell you, you lose flexibility as you get older. It's a fight every single day.
This is what I hear. I mean, I don't know it personally, but I've heard it.
Let me tell you, youngster.
Yes.
We all get stiffer as we age. And to that point, I'm actually glad you said that. I do make it a point, and I've said it to Claudine Cooper, the nice exercise lady, that I stretch every single day. Now, it's not necessarily dynamic stretching where I'm trying to go Jean-Claude Van Damme and put 2 feet on 2 chairs in the opposite sides of the room and just balance myself. No, but I try to extend my flexibility as best I can. And it's disappointing and depressing when I go in there and you have the little kids, they just fall in the splits and they can't appreciate them. They don't have the leg strength to really do anything with that flexibility. But yeah, use it while you can, and as best you can, try to maintain it. And it helps me just in my general day-to-day life, because if you see like an older person try to run, they're real short strides and they can't really open up. That's your body tightens as you get older, and some of your muscles just start to calcify on your bone. You just don't have that ability anymore. But it's something that you can slow the decline and the degeneration of your muscles.
What is it that makes old people toot when they run too?
Probably diet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't know. Wink, wink.
Oh. Well, if you say so. I mean, I take your word for everything because I trust you. You seem trustworthy.
Robin, how old are you? You like 28, 29?
And 30.
Okay. All right. When I met you, then you're probably 28, 29. You're 30. And Twala he's 27. We're just going to go ahead and lie here. Mark is
really lie.
He's like 12.
Hard 35.
No, but I embrace my age. I deal with it. I embrace it. 55. There are a lot of folks who didn't get to 55, and I didn't get to 55 any quicker than anyone else. I didn't get cheated. It wasn't like, I just woke up and my life started at 32, and I didn't have any memory of the first 32 years. but I've been much better shape than most people my age. So, I'm doing something right.
Well, you're upright. That's a plus.
Isn't that? My father used to say, it's better to be seen than viewed.
It's weird to find out about people that you graduated with who are incapacitated or who have died early. I just found out somebody I went to high school with has dementia and is in a facility now. And like, what? Okay, it's just musical chairs at this point.
Yeah, we are at that age. To be very serious, we are at that age where things start falling apart. When I was a kid, I thought, oh yeah, you're young, you feel great, and then by the time you get to 80, then you start to feel it. No, it's long before 80. A lot of stuff has changed in the past 10 years. I think when I hit my 50s, my body started changing the most, where you would feel it from year to year. You would see it in the mirror from month to month. So I just stopped looking in mirrors. I don't even look at the camera here when I'm doing the YouTube show.
Well, I can't blame you, but you should start taking my concoction of bone broth, lemon juice, and ginger. You'll feel terrific.
I'm a little scared for when I get older because I tore 2 ligaments in my ankle, and they said once I get older, I'm going to really feel that.
You will. It'll tighten up, and all I can recommend is, like, I stretch my Achilles and my lower tendons every single day to lessen the likelihood of injuries. But the injuries I did amass over the years, like I tore my left hamstring on my black belt test, which was 9/27/97, and I feel that to this day. And I know that the arthritis I'm dealing with is part rheumatoid, part osteoarthritis in my hips. I'm feeling that. Yes, you will feel a lot of these injuries later on in life, and there's just no way getting around it. And there's Mark, who's never did anything athletic, so he's not going to feel that.
You're right, yeah. Man, I just sat on my...
But you're going to feel your wrestling injuries, no doubt.
Oh, I still do. I've still got a little touch of cauliflower ear, for God's sakes. All my joints have been just abused unconscionably.
And you think it's going to be fine when you're in your 20s and 30s, you don't feel it, you're just a little sore, and all of a sudden you wake up and you're sore every damn day.
Well, no, you see me limping in the hallway sometimes, and that's from torquing it from Taekwondo, and particularly these kind of jumping kicks that we would do. And
yes,
I keep thinking, well, I didn't know at the time this was going to happen, but what, was I not going to do that? It was fun.
And not only that, you don't think your body is ever going to rebel against you until it does.
Yeah, that's how. And then it's just another hop, skip, and a shuffle before we're like these old people who fall and break their hip on one fall.
One fall. That, I'm trying to avoid that. I say all that to say, come see me at Songs Up Keto Saturday, 4354 Sepulveda Boulevard in Culver City. KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
KFI and KOST HD2, Los Angeles, Orange County. More stimulating talk.
iHeart presents the Big Three Playoffs. This Sunday, the remaining 4 teams battle to make the championship in the most physical, fierce, and competitive basketball league in the world. The action starts with the Big Three Monster Energy Celebrity Game. Then Dwight Howard and his LA Riot take on Montrezl Harrell and Dr. J Chicago Triplets. The finale will see popular Miami 305 with stars MVP Michael Beasley and Lance Stevenson take on Nancy Lieberman's Dallas Power. Who will make it to the Big Three Championship? The no-holds-barred action starts Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific, only on CBS.